Well, one of the main characteristics of the police state and of the police global world that we are living in is not only the open repression, but the clandestine prisons, the hidden torture, and so on. So I'm going to read two poems by prisoners in Guantanamo. The first is a poem by Shaker Amer. Shaker Amer is an acknowledged leader of the detainees and the last remaining resident of the UK still held in Guantanamo. His health is failing and his lawyers recently filed a petition for his release on those grounds. The UK has repeatedly requested his return, but the US refuses. They fight for peace. Peace, they say. Peace of mind? Peace on earth? Peace of what kind? I see them talking, arguing, fighting. What kind of peace are they looking for? Why do they kill? What are they planning? Is it just talk? Why do they argue? Is it so simple to kill? Is this their plan? Yes, of course. They talk, they argue, they kill, they fight for peace. And it is a poem by Adnan Latif. It's called Hunger Strike Poem. As you know, in Guantanamo, people have been in hunger strike. There's 154 prisoners still remaining. Most of them have been cleared of all crime, but they remain there. Adnan Latif died at Guantanamo, waiting for his release years after he was cleared of wrongdoing. His death was reported as a suicide, but that could not be confirmed because the US refused to return his body to his family until it had decomposed too much to perform an autopsy. Hunger Strike Poem by Adnan Latif. They are criminals increasing their crimes. They are criminals claiming to be peace-loving. They are criminals torturing the hunger strikers. They are artists of torture. They are artists of pain and fatigue. They are artists of insults and humiliation. They are faithless, traitors, and cowards. They have surpassed devils with their criminal acts. They do not respect the law. They do not respect men. They do not respect the elderly. They do not spare the baby-toothed child. They leave us in prison for years, uncharged, because we are Muslims. Where is the world to save us from torture? Where is the world to save us from the fire and sadness? Where is the world to save the hunger strikers? But we are content on the side of justice and right, worshipping the Almighty. And our motto on this island is Salam. Very recently, a federal judge interrupted the force-feeding of a Syrian man who has also been released he has been cleared for years, but is not being released for Guantanamo. By doing that, she could shed some light among the total wall of silence about Guantanamo. It's really difficult to know the names of the people there, the things that are going on. I am going to read a very short part of a letter from a prisoner in solitary in Pelican Bay, California, talking about the hunger strike in Guantanamo. He says, from Pelican Bay Prison, "We know over half the men have been cleared for release, having not been tied to any crime, but still they are tortured, living in chains, hooded and deprived of everything that makes one human. But for over 100 days, these brave men have had the world stage to educate the people on the vileness of US imperialism. They have been so effective during these 100 days that many of us, even here in this torture center known as Pelican Bay, as a SHU have learned more about the torture going on at Guantanamo. We sit here in windowless cells and held in solitary, but we have begun to learn more about what is taking place, and a couple of men have even begun to hunger strike in solidarity with Guantanamo, because what we have realized is that the thing that links Pelican Bay SHU with Guantanamo is we share the same torturer. And finally, I would like to read a poem that I wrote when I discovered that the prisoners in Palestine and the prisoners in Guantanamo and the prisoners in California were staging a hunger strike at the same time. And I thought that that was amazing, and that inspired me this poem. It has begun. It is the prisoners who have started it globally with non-violence. Two words put together into a united single one. A Kingian, proactive, unified concept. A path to justice. A path to creative freedom. It has begun in the heart of darkness, in the place of isolation and torture, in the place of impunity, in the essential hidden place, in the blind spot, in the locked up, secret, clandestine place where denial takes place, hidden from our eyes and our heart. Guantanamo, that paramount no place of denial, with the daily invisible death of those unfortunate enough to be trapped inside the fangs of an invisible system with no trial. California, where the black and brown are to be found in bigger numbers than slaves were ever found during the official time of slavery. Palestine, where children are put in dungeons by an invasive army that denies their future while it steals their land. It has begun. It has begun with the most Gandhian of techniques, hunger strike, a means of civil disobedience that has its center in our place of power, in our home amid any horror, our body. This collective body that is now once again legally tamed by the global inquisition via torture and isolation. This collective prisoner body that now refuses to cooperate. This body that women know so well. A body that has been trafficked, kidnapped, commercialized, and tantalized via rape and humiliation so that pimps can keep up the first business of the world, prostitution, so that Johns can fantasize they are the men they are not. A body that must become a forced receptacle for the reproduction of future compliant slaves for the state of Texas as a metaphor of forced motherhood, where women can only cook and cheerlead and sing the praises of the global masters. It has begun. It has begun with a radical act of will to refuse to be fed one more morsel of the horror, to refuse to consume one more single poison, to refuse one more crumbling building to fall down and bury exploited workers into oblivion, to refuse one more being, one more heart, one more body to be isolated, humiliated, and tortured in secret. The global awareness of the prisoners we all are has begun on all four corners of the earth. It has begun. This is a hurried, urgent, ill-constructed poem with no rhyme or rhythm, but a simple repetition and a heart that hungers, a belly that aches, a revolted stomach with tense limbs and an arched back that cannot take it any longer. My body has become one with the collective sick body of humankind, with the body of the exhausted wolf that tries to flee from killing helicopters and looks at them with its dying gaze, with its body riddled with bullets, with the body of planet Earth that revolts in earthquakes, heat waves, and tsunamis. This poem needs to be redone, reshaped, translated, circulated, changed, and added on, but it has begun. Now it must be set in motion with a global lengthy strike, a collective act of will, a corset, a global stoppage, a stern refusal to go on business as usual. Now it's time it germinates into a global constituency of projects, into a thorough questioning of what it is we all want together from our different heads, from our separate thoughts, pulsing atoms of one living body with millions of ideas put together for a healthy functioning. It has begun. It has begun, and it has been revealed by an avant-garde of minds, global minds, who have looked and have been put into this bottomless pit of torture and secrecy set in motion for the reproduction of a body of slavery. It has been revealed by the whistleblowers. They have given birth to 1,000 lights, so we may look into this secrecy, so we may clean this heart of darkness, so we may give voice and name to our blind spots, so we may put an end to the spy machine that creates our artificial misery in a planet of plenty. It has begun. We, the prisoners, have begun our way to freedom with our hungry body that feeds on our refusal. It has begun. Thank you. And just, sorry, I hope I didn't go too long. I would really like to see all the names of all the Guantanamo prisoners on all the walls of all the town halls of all the cities in this country. Thank you.